Hey, it's Luxury Travel Docs here today, and we are in San Antonio, Texas at the historical site of the Alamo, which you see behind me. This recently fully reopened following the COVID pandemic. As you can see, that we're wearing masks. Some of the things that I recommend you do before you come to the Alamo is make sure that you reserve a time ticket, and they are free. However, you also have the option of getting the audio tour, which we highly recommend, not only to provide you with some historical information about this amazing site, but also it gives you access to some areas of the historical site that you might not have access to otherwise. So, what does the Alamo represent? Well, it actually represents one of a series of battles that occurred to gain the independence of Texas from the centralized government of Mexico. The Battle of the Alamo is actually a 13-day siege, which ended with the final battle on March 6, 1836. You may hear of some famous historical figures that were present at the Battle of the Alamo and unfortunately were killed during that 13-day siege. Some of the names you might remember are historical figures like Davy Crockett, James Bowie, and William Travis. The site of the Alamo actually was a former Franciscan mission which was established by Spain and closed in the 1790s, a major fortification in the early city of San Antonio. When you visit the Alamo, first you'll visit the church, which has some really interesting information inside, so we encourage you to take time and read all of the placards and displays that are in there. And if you have any questions, make sure that you ask the volunteers that are working inside. You cannot take pictures inside the church itself, but there are some really amazing things to see, like frescoes from the original church. Next, you'll visit the gardens, and make sure when you visit the gardens that you see the living history engagement that is outside, including information about some of the firepower that was used at the time, how the armies actually worked, what sort of things the people that were present at the Alamo would carry in their rucksacks. And we also got to meet some tailors from the time of the Alamo, which all of the individuals in the living history engagement are actual historians, so if you have questions, they're amazing people to ask. Again, as I said earlier, you can visit the museum historical exhibit only if you have the audio tour, and that is a wonderful place to visit that you can learn a lot more about the information of why the Battle of the Alamo happened, why Texas wanted independence from the centralized government of Mexico at the time, and Spain's involvement even prior to that. It has a lot of artifacts in there, including some of the guns and muskets that were used, some of the actual cannonballs, and some of the uniforms. So we highly recommend that you visit that at the end. So take the time when you come to Texas and San Antonio to visit the Alamo site, and always remember to make meaningful and healthy travel happen for yourself. And thanks for visiting us from the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas.